You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
There's a lot of people that are just like finding other places to go.
Now they're finding shelter in a place you might not expect. How the crackdown on homelessness is having some unintended consequences at the Bay Area's busiest airport. Plus, a local bakery tapping into ancient techniques. How it's bringing the sourdough craze back to its gold rush roots.
It's a really simple idea of just utilizing what's already in nature.
And a meeting of young tech minds from around the world right here in the Bay Area. How these teens are learning to become experts in hacking.
Just committing to what you want to do is really the way to go. And I think Hack Club, more than anything, has given me the belief that I can do it.
Thanks for joining us this Friday. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to have those stories and lots more right after our news headlines. Major backups for commuters in Alameda County this morning after a big rig caught fire and spread to nearby vegetation. This happened on westbound 580 at around 6:30, just east of North Flynn Road near Livermore. The brush fire and debris spread all over the roadway. Caltrans closed all lanes from Grant Line Road to Greenville Road. Fire crews got those flames under control, and at least one lane is now open. Police say a woman was shot and killed while walking her dogs in San Leandro. Happened just after 11 last night at the corner of East 14th Avenue and William Street. Police say the suspect confronted that woman and her boyfriend, then shot the woman and drove off. Officers arrested 21-year-old Rothith Sunil of San Jose on suspicion of murder. Police say the victim's boyfriend and those two dogs were not injured. The man accused of shooting and killing a parole officer in Oakland now due in court on Monday. Authorities say he walked into a parole office on Edgewater Drive just before 1 yesterday afternoon and shot 40-year-old Joshua Lamont Bird. The California Department of Corrections says that Agent Bird joined as a cadet back in 2014. He was promoted to sergeant in 2020 and had just joined the Oakland office last October. The law enforcement community in Alameda County held a procession last night in his honor. Investigators tell us they tracked down the suspect, 48-year-old Brian Keith Hall, near 90th and International. He is being held without bail. Agent Bird leaves behind a wife and 3 children. All right, let's get a check on our first alert forecast because the weekend is upon us. Here's meteorologist Zoe Mintz.
Happy Friday. We have made it through the week and we are on to the weekend. And what a gorgeous start to our day. The sunrise this morning was beautiful from above the clouds. Unfortunately, most of us didn't get this gorgeous view, so I just had to show you all what it will look like above the clouds. Most of us were gloomy, foggy to start off our day. By the afternoon hours, we're going to continue to warm up above yesterday, but still a couple of degrees below average for this time of year, upwards of 5 degrees below average from our inland communities. But at least it's not 10 degrees below average like what we saw earlier this week, so it all is relative for this time of year, and it really all depends on what you like when you step out the door. It's a little bit of everything for everybody across the Bay Area this afternoon. Again, those microclimates continue to be in full force. Low 60s along our coastal communities, as there's going to be quite a lot of fog and quite a lot of cloud coverage. But for those of you who maybe live in Half Moon Bay and down towards Santa Cruz, you're actually going to be seeing a lot more sunshine this afternoon, which is really great news for those of you who maybe were planning on heading to the beach. Head on farther south, and that will be your best chance to actually soak up some sunshine. Our North Bay community is likely going to be socked in by that fog basically all day, but just drive on a little bit farther inland, and you'll be seeing a bit more sunshine. Those of you who do live in our North Bay communities inland, you'll be seeing those high temperatures in the 70s. Again, that's a couple of degrees below average for this time of year. Mid-80s for our inland East Bay communities and down into the Santa Clara Valley. Looks like actually Morgan Hill is going to be one of those warmest spots this afternoon. So either way, below average conditions today, but nothing too out of the ordinary for this time of year, and kind of a rinse and repeat into tomorrow afternoon as well. Plenty of sunshine, and enjoy the sunshine and seasonable weather while you can before the upper 70s and below average conditions return next week.
The Justice Department calling on California's major counties, including San Francisco, to hand over a list of inmates who are not U.S. citizens. That requested data includes what crimes they're accused or convicted of and their scheduled release dates. The DOJ says they want to get that information that could help in the removal of undocumented immigrants who have committed crimes. In its request, the department mentions it will do whatever it needs to get the information, even if it's not given voluntarily. San Francisco Sheriff Paul Miyamoto says his office will not comply because of sanctuary city status, but that he will honor judicial warrants. In a statement, the sheriff says the federal government already knows the identity and has the fingerprints of every inmate in San Francisco's jails. If the federal government has a legal reason to arrest someone, they can do so by obtaining a criminal warrant or court order. The Trump administration appears to be trying to move ahead with plans to reopen Alcatraz as a federal prison. Attorney General Pam Bondi and Interior Secretary Doug Burgum toured the island yesterday. They have not laid out any details of their plans just yet, and as our Lauren Tom shows us, the idea is getting a lot of pushback from local leaders.
Beneath the morning fog and before thousands of tourists set foot on Alcatraz Island Thursday morning, Attorney General Pam Bondi and Interior Secretary Doug Burgum arrived by Coast Guard vessel for a private tour. The visit comes 2 months after President Trump floated the idea of restoring the historic former prison into a functioning penitentiary. Walking the grounds of the island that once held notorious inmates like Al Capone, Bondi spoke about its potential in an interview with Fox News.
Alcatraz could hold the worst of the worst. It could hold middle-class violent prisoners. It could hold illegal aliens. It could hold anything. This is a terrific facility, needs a lot of work, but no one has been known to escape from Alcatraz and survive.
Alcatraz closed as a federal prison in 1963 due to soaring operational costs. It's now part of the National Park Service and a popular tourist attraction visited by more than 1.6 million people a year. A Department of Justice spokesperson confirmed to CBS News Bondi and Burgum received a briefing on the facility and surrounding island and directed staff to collaborate on necessary planning to rehabilitate and reopen the facility. Both arrived back on land at the Coast Guard's Golden Gate Station at Fort Baker. Then Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, who also oversees the National Park Service, stopped by the Presidio for a tour. We asked him about his time on the Rock.
Secretary, what's your takeaway from your time at Alcatraz?
But he remained silent. Local leaders, however, have not. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi slamming the visit in an interview with CBS News Bay Area.
I said this was the stupidest. What I actually said is, with stiff competition, this is the stupidest.
While San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie says the high cost to renovate and operate Alcatraz as a prison should be put to better use on city streets.
They have no realistic plan to make this feasible.
It's a sentiment shared by onlookers, skeptical that the iconic former prison could ever be operational.
It's just a crazy idea. There's no sense to it whatsoever.
I think it's one of the dumber things I've heard in recent history.
I don't think it's possible, so I really don't stress about it.
I think it'd be a horrible thing, not only for the country, but for our budget, our debt, and the repayment of it as well.
There is no running water, no heat, and no sanitation on the island. Historians say that was part of the reason it closed back in 1963. Just too much work needed to be done to bring it up to basic standards. National Park Service says tourism to Alcatraz brings in around $60 million per year. But all of that could be lost. Experts say to make Alcatraz a functioning prison again, it would cost around $240 million taxpayer dollars. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area, the push in Oakland to turn a vacant lot into a beautiful garden. We're looking at plans to replace blight with beauty. Plus, a homeless crackdown in San Francisco could be having some unintended consequences on the peninsula and even at the Bay Area's busiest airport. How officials are dealing with a spike in homelessness at the SFO and Millbrae BART stations.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
We're going to continue to see very seasonable July conditions throughout the rest of the week into the weekend, so enjoy it while you can. It's still going to be a couple of degrees below average for this time of year, but mid to lower 80s, it's definitely kind of what we expected. We'll be back in the upper 70s, though, by as soon as early next week inland. So enjoy, again, the slightly warmer weather this weekend, or head on over the coast where it's always going to be cooler. We're going to be sitting in the low 60s with those early morning cloud coverage, giving way to a bit of afternoon sunshine.
3 deputies were killed in an explosion at a sheriff's department training center in Los Angeles County. That investigation underway right now. The sheriff's office says the blast happened in the parking lot of the Special Enforcement Bureau at the facility. Not clear right now if it happened during a training operation. Explosion going off at around 7:30 this morning in East Los Angeles, close to the 710 freeway. Again, the cause still under investigation. A group of neighbors in Oakland working to transform a neglected lot into a vibrant native garden that will support bees, butterflies, and overall community well-being. Organizers of the effort say they've already gotten Caltrans approval, and they're now in the fundraising stage. They estimate they'll need around $30,000 to fully realize this garden's potential. This would all be happening at 54th and Shattuck in an often overlooked portion of North Oakland. Leaders of the project tell our Max Darrow they were tired of waiting around for someone else to create the beauty they want to see in the town.
When Vincent Kitarachagarn looks at this dilapidated, overgrown vacant lot at 54th and Shattuck in Oakland, he calls a spade a spade.
This corner has always kind of been, neglected. It attracts illegal dumping. There's always graffiti here.
But he also sees possibility and thinks of the famous Louis Armstrong song, What a Wonderful World.
It goes, I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And that's really what I want here. We need more beautiful public spaces in Oakland, and this should be one of those spaces.
So he and neighbors are now working to turn that idea into reality by transforming the lot, which is owned by Caltrans, into a community pollinator garden. And this is what that vision looks like.
We're going to keep those redwood trees because they're a great part of the space right now. And we're going to create a bunch of pollinator plants around it with a walking path, as well as areas for seating. And so you're going to see this completely transformed.
The hope is that it will help alleviate problems with illegal dumping and blight, a problem many people in the town want to see fixed.
The quality of life has declined in Oakland, it feels like, significantly in the last 5 years or so.
Including Rob Selna.
I'm a fourth-generation Oakland resident.
Who is helping bring this idea to life.
It feels as though it's a time where more than ever, members of the public need to step up and fill in some of the gaps that the city has left.
Selna has experience on this front. He's the president of the group Sidewalk Trees and Gardens, and 10 years ago, he and neighbors created the Temescal Community Garden.
What you see here now represents a transformation of a street that was really secluded, blighted, and a target for criminal and bad activity.
When community-led efforts like this arise, there sometimes are people who will say it's the city's job to fix these kinds of problems.
People are concerned about their communities, and at the moment, the city of Oakland, for a variety of reasons, doesn't have the money to take care of them. So you can decide, well, I'm just going to abandon this city and move on because they don't have the money to take care of it, or I'm going to help to bring the city back.
Back on Shattuck and 54th, Vincent says they've acquired the necessary Caltrans permits to proceed. They're fundraising now with a goal of starting construction in October.
I think Oakland's a great place to live, and I think it has a lot of corners that need some love, right? So this is just one of those corners, and we're hoping that we can start something here and hopefully copy-paste it, across the city into other places that need it.
The cross-pollination of ideas, helping a volunteer effort to turn blight into beauty, bloom.
Well, there is an online fundraiser for the garden. Vincent and Rob say that they imagine the work will likely be all volunteer, just as it was with the Temescal Community Garden. As for the permitting process, it did not happen overnight. Rob says they had to acquire several permits, which took around a year to get done. Well, the sky-high cost of housing around the Bay Area and in San Francisco especially continues to surge. That is according to a new report from the SF Business Times. It found that the median sale price for single-family homes and condos in the city was about $1.76 million in the second quarter of 2025. That is an 8.5% jump from just the first 3 months of the year. It has been more than a year since the Supreme Court gave cities more leeway to clear out homeless encampments. And during that time, an unexpected place has been seeing the consequences. There has been a surge in the number of homeless people at SFO. Airport officials say the number of homeless people each week at both the airport and the SFO BART station has nearly doubled since last year. Also a problem in Millbrae. Officials are putting some of the blame for the spike on San Francisco's homeless crackdown. Da Lin reports on what's being done to address the issue.
The problem isn't as visible during the day, but at night, some say these end-of-the-line BART stations become makeshift shelters for the homeless, and cities, including places like SFO, are trying to figure out how to help them. Many BART riders, like Sharangun Adganbatar, credit improvements in the system to the new fare gates.
I avoid taking it at night, so maybe it's like a different situation at night. But at least during the day, it's definitely like much safer than how it used to be maybe like a year, maybe even like a few months ago.
She takes BART 3 to 4 times a week between Berkeley and Millbrae, and says she's seeing fewer drug users and fewer homeless people.
I would remember like seeing people like actually take drugs on the BART like a year ago, but then now it's like I haven't seen anyone like that.
While the problem isn't as widespread, it's still persistent. An SFO official recently told the Airport Board Commission that back in 2024, they were coming into contact with 222 homeless people a week at the SFO BART station. Now that number has jumped to 414, nearly double. She blames San Francisco's aggressive homeless crackdown for pushing people into neighboring cities. We found Spencer Jeffrey, an unhoused man from San Francisco, at the Millbrae station.
They have been cracking down, and there's a lot of people that are just like finding other places to go. I think it's ridiculous. It's like homelessness is becoming legal.
The issue isn't new. We interviewed Millbrae's previous mayor in 2023 about end-of-the-line stations dealing with homelessness.
We get 30 to 50 of the unhoused pushed into Millbrae, turfed into Millbrae every day.
Current Millbrae Mayor Anders Fong says the city is working with BART and other regional partners to reduce homelessness.
Millbrae recently has, enacted an ordinance of no camping. And so that also put more tools in our toolbox so that our law enforcement official can help, assist those who are experiencing long-term homelessness, chronic homelessness.
Both the Millbrae and SFO stations are also partnering with social workers to connect homeless people to resources.
What we are doing is strengthening our infrastructure so it's harder to get into the system without paying. And then once you're in the system, you're going to see a larger visible safety presence, both against sworn officers and the non-sworn officers.
BART expects to finish installing new fare gates at all stations by the end of the year. The San Francisco mayor's office and SFO declined to comment on the story.
On the most recent data from San Francisco's point-in-time report, the city saw a 7% increase in homelessness from 2022 to 2024. Still ahead, the crown jewel of golfing in the Bay Area, celebrating 100 years today. We'll take a look at the historic golf course and how it's helped shape Bay Area history. A centennial celebration happening right here in the Bay Area. TPC Harding Park in San Francisco is turning 100 years old today. Harding Park is known as the crown jewel of golfing locally. It's one of the few public courses played on the Pro Golf Tour. Our Kevin Coe is at the historic golf course with a look at this milestone in city history.
Good morning from TPC Harding Park, a golf course celebrating its 100th anniversary. On July 18th, 1925, all of this behind me, well, it looked more like a cattle ranch. Now, it's one of the most beautiful public golf courses in the country. TPC Harding Park is part of San Francisco's Recreation and Parks Department. That's how the world of public parks blends in with a golf course that's hosted major events like the PGA Championship in 2020, while hosting golf's elite like Billy Casper, Tiger Woods, and Rory McIlroy.
We are actually running the property here for the benefit of the citizens and also so we can have big events here. And the PGA Tour doesn't have very many golf courses. There are about 17 of them, so it's just a testament to how good this property really is.
Other than the golf course, Harding Park is, well, obviously a park. You have walkers, joggers, park goers all around this area enjoying the green spaces.
And coming up in the next half hour here on CBS News Bay Area.
Don't resist me! What? He's a U.S. citizen!
Immigration arrests outside a Home Depot. Among those detained, a man whose wife says that he is a U.S. citizen.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Thanks for staying with us this Friday. I'm Ann Makovic. Here is another look at some of our news headlines today. Police say a woman was shot and killed while walking her dogs in San Leandro. Happened just after 11 last night on the corner of East 14th Avenue and William Street. Police say the suspect confronted the woman and her boyfriend, then shot that woman and drove off. Officers arrested 21-year-old Rohith Sunil of San Jose on suspicion of murder. Police say her boyfriend and those two dogs were not injured. Major backups for commuters in Alameda County this morning after a big rig caught fire and spread to nearby vegetation. This happened on westbound 580 at around 6:30, just north of Flynn Road near Livermore. Brush fire and debris spreading all over the roadway, causing Caltrans to close all lanes from Grant Line Road to Greenville Road. Fire crews got those flames under control. At least one lane is now open. And a parole officer is dead, a suspect under arrest after a shooting in Oakland. Authorities say a gunman walked into a parole office on Edgewater Drive just before 1 p.m. yesterday and shot 40-year-old Joshua Lamont Bird. A suspect has been identified as 48-year-old Brian Keith Hall. Police arrested him near 90th and International. He is now being held without bail and is set to be arraigned on Monday. All right, let's get another check on our first alert forecast for the weekend with meteorologist Zoe Mintz.
Happy Friday. We have made it through the week and we are on to the weekend. And what a gorgeous start to our day. The sunrise this morning was beautiful from above the clouds. Unfortunately, most of us didn't get this gorgeous view, so I just had to show you all what it will look like above the clouds. Most of us were gloomy, foggy to start off our day. By the afternoon hours, we're going to continue to warm up above yesterday, but still a couple of degrees below average for this time of year, upwards of 5 degrees below average from our inland communities. But at least it's not 10 degrees below average like what we saw earlier this week, so it all is relative for this time of year, and it really all depends on what you like when you step out the door. It's a little bit of everything for everybody across the Bay Area this afternoon. Again, those microclimates continue to be in full force. Low 60s along our coastal communities, as there's going to be quite a lot of fog and quite a lot of cloud coverage. But for those of you who maybe live in Half Moon Bay and down towards Santa Cruz, you're actually going to be seeing a lot more sunshine this afternoon, which is really great news for those of you who maybe were planning on heading to the beach. Head on farther south, and that will be your best chance to actually soak up some sunshine. Our North Bay community is likely going to be socked in by that fog basically all day, but just drive on a little bit farther inland, and you'll be seeing a bit more sunshine. Those of you who do live in our North Bay communities inland, you'll be seeing those high temperatures in the 70s. Again, that's a couple of degrees below average for this time of year. Mid-80s for our inland East Bay communities and down into the Santa Clara Valley. Looks like actually Morgan Hill is going to be one of those warmest spots this afternoon. So either way, below average conditions today, but nothing too out of the ordinary for this time of year, and kind of a rinse and repeat into tomorrow afternoon as well. Plenty of sunshine, and enjoy the sunshine and seasonable weather while you can before the upper 70s and below average conditions return next week.
The Department of Homeland Security says at least 11 people were arrested in the parking lot of a Home Depot in Sacramento. This is the first high-profile immigration enforcement raid in that county. And the wife of one of the detained men told reporter Tori Apodaca she has no idea where her husband is now.
Witnesses described it as just chaotic. They say that day laborers were running in every which direction. Some were tackled, beaten, and mazed. We spoke with the wife of one of the men who was arrested. She says her husband called her when he says he saw masked men with their weapons drawn. Then the phone call dropped. So she rushed down here, and this is what she saw next.
No! Man! Don't resist! What?
She recorded the federal agents taking her husband, Jose Manuel Castillo, into custody. She says he is a U.S. citizen born in Sacramento who was just doing his job. The nonprofit NorCal Resist that has been assisting immigrants says that Jose was a volunteer for the group, sent to the Home Depot to observe and document the raid. But a Fox News correspondent who was doing a ride-along with Border Patrol posted that one person who appears to be Jose was detained for slashing one of the federal agents' tires. fires.
My husband was just kidnapped. They didn't tell me where they're taking him. They didn't ask him for identification. They wouldn't let me near him. And they're threatening me. They're threatening to mace me and arrest me.
The U.S. Border Patrol chief posted this video on X, confirming they were conducting operations across Sacramento Thursday and arrested at least 8 people. One of those a convicted aggravated felon and another for interfering and assaulting an officer. The wife of Jose says that she does have a tracker on his phone, and it appears that he was taken to the Stockton ICE facility. We are still working to confirm this with Border Patrol.
Meantime, a new class action lawsuit has been filed this week by a group of immigrants and legal advocates. It is looking to stop ICE from making arrests at courthouses and immigration hearings. The suit was filed against the Justice Department and several other agencies in federal court in D.C. It claims government attorneys have been asking immigration judges to dismiss civil proceedings against an immigrant. And then once that happens, ICE agents, who are sometimes already in the courtroom, arrest them. According to the lawsuit, that person is then transferred into expedited removal proceedings and detention with little legal recourse. The lawsuit claims that violates due process protections. A Homeland Security spokesperson told the New York Times the tactic conserves valuable law enforcement resources because they already know where a target will be. In Southern California, amid the ongoing immigration raids, animal shelters are feeling the pressure. They say they are being overwhelmed by pets being surrendered or strays coming in after their owners are deported or detained. The LA County Department of Animal Care and Control says all 7 of its county shelters have seen an uptick in surrendered pets since the raid started last month.
Sort of like this code, like, okay, so either somebody brought them in and they were getting rid of their own dog, or in a situation like this, which I really think is becoming a big issue with people that have been deported or targeted by ICE.
The LA Times reports pet surrenders more than doubled at the county's Palmdale shelter compared to June of last year. It says the count jumped nearly 50% over the same period at the county's Downey shelter. Rescuers say they're trying to find homes or fosters as quickly as they can before those shelters become too overcrowded. This week marks 5 years since the death of civil rights leader and Congressman John Lewis. In honor of his goal of making, quote, good trouble in reference to civil disobedience, several Bay Area cities took part in a national day of action yesterday. They joined rally-goers in more than 1,600 cities as they pushed back against the Trump administration. Yeah, these demonstrators lining the streets and an overpass in Walnut Creek, protesting a number of the president's policies. They held signs saying no kings and hands off my democracy. In San Jose, people gathered at Cesar Chavez Park. They accused the administration of executive overreach, which they say threatens civil rights like birthright citizenship. Organizers asked for local leaders to step in.
We want our local politicians and elected, city council members and the mayor to know that we are upset, and we want, San Jose and the Bay Area and California to be different. We do not want this happening in our area.
Nurses took the lead at this protest in Oakland. More than 100 people stood outside the California Nurses Association headquarters on Grand Avenue near Lake Merritt. They protested the government's cuts to Medicaid and other social programs. President Trump has ordered his attorney general to seek the release of grand jury testimony in the Jeffrey Epstein case. That comes amid mounting pressure from members of the president's own party. As Natalie Brand reports, the Wall Street Journal also published an article that alleges Trump wrote Epstein a suggestive letter.
As the president grows increasingly frustrated with focus on the Jeffrey Epstein files and pressure from some of his own supporters to release more information.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net.
The Wall Street Journal alleges Trump wrote Epstein a birthday note in 2003, included in a collection of letters with a hand-drawn sketch appearing to be the outline of a naked woman. The Journal says the letter ends with, quote, happy birthday and may every day be another wonderful secret. President Trump calls the letter fake, writing on social media, these are not my words, not the way I talk. He's now threatening to sue the outlet and owner Rupert Murdoch. Hours after the Wall Street Journal report, President Trump ordered Attorney General Pam Bondi to seek to release pertinent grand jury records from the accused sex traffickers case, which Bondi says she will ask the court to do.
I've never seen this type of request before.
Mitchell Epner, a former federal prosecutor, says a judge will make the final decision and the request could take months or more. And it's unclear how much of what the DOJ has it will seek to release.
It could be very broad, but it is not, and it is certainly far from everything that they could make public.
The push to release all Epstein files has divided Republicans after the DOJ issued a memo this month saying Epstein did not have an incriminating client list.
On Capitol Hill, a push for more information about the Epstein case briefly delayed a White House recessions package, which ultimately passed by a vote of 216 to 213. That bill, which claws back about $9 billion in foreign aid and funding to PBS and NPR, now goes to the president's desk for his signature. The White House has released new information on the president's health. It says he's been diagnosed with a condition known as chronic venous insufficiency, which the White House says is benign and common. That's after Trump experienced swelling in his legs. His doctor says there's no evidence of anything more serious like deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. He adds the 79-year-old president is in excellent overall health. Thousands of walkers are expected in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco this weekend for the annual AIDS Walk, one of the largest fundraisers for Bay Area AIDS organizations. This year, there is a critical need for help. AIDS Walk San Francisco co-chair Robert Mansfield explains why money from the walk is so desperately needed right now.
It's a pretty dire situation for our local agencies, and this is unrestricted funds that they can use in any way for quality of life issues. And so we really need to pitch in and be there for our community this year.
San Francisco's AIDS Walk started in 1987. They've raised millions of dollars as well as awareness for the disease. This year's 5K walk will be on Sunday. Registration opens at 8 a.m. Coming up next, now a Bay Area bakery is betting on its future by turning to a technique that was once used thousands of years in the past.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
We're going to continue to see very seasonable July conditions throughout the rest of the week into the weekend, so enjoy it while you can. It's still going to be a couple of degrees below average for this time of year, but mid to lower 80s, it's definitely kind of what we expect. It will be back in the upper 70s, though, by as soon as early next week inland. So enjoy, again, the slightly warmer weather this weekend, or head on over the coast where it's always going to be cooler. We're going to be sitting in the low 60s with those early morning cloud coverage, giving way to a bit of afternoon sunshine.
Well, San Francisco is kind of notorious for putting up red tape for small business owners. Well, now a movement to help streamline the process. Mayor Daniel Lurie signed off on what he calls Permit SF, a group of ordinances meant to make it easier for small business and property owners to obtain permits. There will be eliminations to specific permits and unnecessary steps in the permit review process. Rich Lee, owner of a small coffee business in the city, says the legislation allows him to focus on what matters. He says serving great coffee and building community.
It will save every business owner thousands of dollars. And I mean, thousands of dollars is a lot of coffee, right? and so, you know, that's a lot of business for a lot of people.
Well, the Board of Supervisors voted to pass the legislation unanimously on Tuesday. That is going to go into effect on August 16th. Some small business owners in San Francisco are taking advantage of a new sourdough craze. The city, of course, famously known as the birthplace of sourdough since the gold rush. The pandemic sparked a renaissance of the age-old staple, and Itai Hod shows us why this classic loaf still has plenty of rise left in it.
If you're one of the millions who think bread no longer has a place at the table, you may want to clear a spot, because inside this unassuming bakery in San Francisco, something's happening that might just have you believe in carbs again.
This is not your Wonder Bread. No, this is not your Wonder Bread.
Jamie Sams runs the kitchen at Jane the Bakery. On busy mornings, they can crank out up to 600 loaves. Each one requires about 5 days from start to finish. Proof there's nothing half-baked about taking your time.
It's a really simple idea of just utilizing what's already in nature.
Owner Amanda Michael says they wanted to go back to how bread was made thousands of years ago.
We're using the whole kernel of grain, so the germ, the endosperm, nothing's stripped out of it.
Not only do they mill their grain on site, it's grown on their family farm, taking every loaf from seed to slice. And it seems the bet is paying off big time. Customers like Sharon Garrison say it's the best thing since, well, you know.
There's no word to describe it.
Across the country, sourdough has been on the rise, fueled by a pandemic-era obsession with baking that's still going strong. Karen Bornarth from the Bread Bakers Guild of America says shoppers are pickier now, and while that's pushed bakeries to step up their game, artisanal bread takes work, and that costs more.
The ingredients may not be expensive, but the hands that make them are worth a lot of money. So keeping it accessible for people, keeping it affordable so that the market can grow is the real challenge.
Still, it's hard to argue with the taste, which is why, in the name of journalism, we had to try a few loaves.
Oh, wow.
Okay, maybe more than just a few.
What's the most important ingredient? Love. No, I'm just kidding.
And that passion for sourdough may just prove that the notion people are done with bread is toast.
I'm not done with bread. Of course, it's not just the Bay Area. The global sourdough market was valued at $3.3 billion last year and is projected to reach more than $5.3 billion by 2030. The WNBA All-Star Weekend kicks off today, and for the first time ever, a Valkyrie is representing the Golden State. Kayla Thornton is going to be the first ever Golden State All-Star. Thornton leads her team in points, rebounds, and steals in its inaugural season. But Indiana superstar Caitlin Clark is not going to be there. That is because she apparently re-aggravated a groin injury that already cost her 5 games this season. So instead of playing host to the Valkyries tonight, Chase Center is going to host a concert by Katy Perry. It is part of her Lifetimes tour. Perry recently released a new album called 143 and is just coming off a residency in Las Vegas. Tonight, she's going to be joined by guest artist Rebecca Black. The concert begins at 7:30. Well, it is the end of an era on late-night television. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is ending after nearly a decade on the air on CBS. The company says the decision is financial and not related to the show's content. Reporter Jared Hill has more on the reason behind the show's farewell.
Before we start the show, I want to let you know.
An end of an era in the world of late night.
Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May.
Thursday, Stephen Colbert broke the news that CBS would be ending his show and turning off the lights on the 3-decade-long Late Show franchise.
Yeah, I share your feelings. Please welcome back to The Late Show, Senator Adam Schiff.
After his appearance on last night's show, Senator Adam Schiff questioned the move. Quote, if Paramount and CBS ended The Late Show for political reasons, the public deserves to know. In a statement, CBS praised Colbert, calling it a purely financial decision, not related in any way to the show's performance, content, or other matters happening at Paramount. Stephen Colbert has been an outspoken critic of President Trump and recently criticized a decision by CBS parent company Paramount to settle a lawsuit with Mr. Trump, a suit the company has maintained is without merit. Paramount is also aiming to finalize a merger with Skydance Media, which needs FCC approval. Reaction poured in from fellow talk show hosts.
I think it's a huge loss for late night, and I think it's a huge loss for CBS.
And fans.
We love Stephen Colbert. We came to New York, and we came to the show last night. Sorry to hear it's going to be canceled.
Colbert's Late Show started in 2015, taking over for originator David Letterman, who started the show in 1993. Jared Hill.
Well, ratings data shows The Late Show with Stephen Colbert had been gaining viewers so far this year, winning its time slot among broadcasters. The show also just earned its 6th Emmy nomination. It won a Peabody in 2021. Coming up, teens from around the world coming to the Bay Area to learn how to hack. A look at the program that is inspiring young innovators. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has reached a settlement with investors over a nearly decade-old privacy scandal involving Facebook data. Shareholders had sued Zuckerberg and other Meta executives for allegedly allowing the political consulting firm Cambridge Analytica to misuse Facebook users' personal info. The settlement was reached a day after trial began over an $8 billion class action lawsuit. Details of the settlement have not been disclosed. In an email to CBS News, Meta declined to comment on that settlement, but pointed out the lawsuit was against Zuckerberg and directors, not Meta platforms. Teens from around the world descended on San Francisco to participate in a Hack Club event. It was a 4-day program enabling them to code and build hardware in the tech epicenter of the world. These students got the full experience in the city where they ate, slept, and built hardware all in the same space. Our Suji Nam introduced us to one participant who used the opportunity to try to help diversify the tech world.
I'm building a tutorial for beginners so they can actually make their first PCB. A PCB is a printed circuit board.
Meghana Madiraju is 16 years old.
It's a gyroscopic sensor, so it measures acceleration. So I want to be able to put this on my bike, and I want this thing to be able to tell me if I'm driving smoothly or not.
This rising high school senior is interning with Hack Club, a nonprofit organization that helps foster the next generation of coders and builders. She is teaching others how to build hardware at the 4-day Hack Club event, Undercity, and her mission is to uplift female innovators.
Even at Undercity, this massive event, the gender gap is 25%, which is 25% girls to 75% guys.
Many Silicon Valley donors, including Elon Musk, are funding projects at Hack Club.
You'd see my room filled with cardboard and hot glue and Legos and just all kinds of garbage, pretty much. My parents hate me for that.
Well, speaking of garbage,
throw trash away, and then it would insult you.
Madiraju built this, a trash-talking trash can, where she took a cardboard box and coded it to, well, toss insults.
You click flash code, which puts the code from on your computer to this thing, and then you press a button on this to execute the code.
Creativity comes in all forms, and for Undercity lead organizer Alex Wren, this is the vision.
I designed my own 3D printer from scratch. I used to do mechanical keyboard builds.
They said they wanted to help foster a safe space and community for like-minded innovators.
In a Discord server, having to listen to people make jokes about their wives or whatever, and it was very obviously there were good times and technical conversations were had, but it's very alienating. What I find so incredibly special about Hack Club is that it's all teenagers from all over the world.
Wait, are you serious?
And for creators like Madiraju,
my entire life I've always dreamed of going to space, and yeah, and I think Hack Club has helped me do that in that now I'm actually technically skilled.
Undercity has become a space for innovative experiences truly out of this world.
Pretty impressive kids there. The nonprofit organization is actually based in Vermont, so many of the students headed back east to compete in the internship program. Organizers are hoping to take the event overseas for future Hack Club events. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to be right back with your first alert forecast and another look at your top stories.